Hello and welcome to week 2 of the summer series by Inspiring Workplaces in partnership with H&H. We got off to a fast start last week, covering many topics such as the neuroscience of trust, building inclusive cultures, well-being and hybrid working, as topical as you could possibly get right now. We also have a big week this week, some fantastic speakers each day, Monday through Friday. We announce our finalists for the first ever Inspiring Workplaces Awards across North America and EMEA. That comes Thursday, so good luck to all those entrants awaiting that news with a gala, a virtual gala coming in July. But today's speaker, I think best sessions we do are ones that challenge our thinking, think differently. And today's speaker is a game changer. 15 years ago, Douglas Board packed in his job as deputy chairman of a London-based executive search firm to go exploring and to work as a coach. Douglas didn't explore countries, but he explored ideas. He finished a doctorate, and the Financial Times called his latest book Profound. He's going to talk to us today about a mistake that has trapped the HR function and our workplaces in a painful place, and lay out 3 steps to a very different, much more inspiring future of world and the world of work. So without further ado, please welcome Douglas Board.
So here's my embarrassing dream. I first glimpsed it when I was 30, and I was about to move into what you might call a low rent suburb in HR called recruiting. I'm now twice that age, and for the last decade I've been working and living, so to speak, in another HR suburb called coaching. And my dream's this, that HR can be a force in the boardroom, that it can be a force for good, and that all this can happen in my lifetime. In my lifetime? Really? What an embarrassing dream. But it's my job to know stuff about embarrassing dreams. I'm a career coach. Guess what? An embarrassing dream is precious. I like Fred a lot, but his first show was a total embarrassment. Neighbors came into his backyard. He had had some lessons on a guitar, rented from a music store. He bellowed, he pranced, he posed, but he couldn't play a chord. The instrument was too damned hard. An embarrassing dream was all Fred had when he packed the guitar back in its case and returned it to the store. Because he couldn't waste any more of his mum's money, because he was 7, because Frederick was one of his names, and the others were Bruce, Joseph, and Springsteen. An embarrassing dream is a gift from the future, which we don't yet know how to unwrap. So please share mine, even if only for 20 minutes. Inside every embarrassing dream is a future bigger than the dreamer can imagine. A realistic dream, an extraordinary future with the dreamer's name written on it. To unwrap HR's embarrassing dream and find HR's extraordinary future, we have to look disappointment and failure full on. Let's go. Well, over the years, there have been many seasons in the HR series. And these are just a few of my favorite DVDs, our most important asset. What do you think? The Matrix organization? This one, the outsource file. Important one. Business partners. Ooh, a newer release, The Promise of Agile. That's just a few. No room here, I'm afraid, for, I don't know, the learning organization. Maybe you liked Human Capital Management. Now, some of these seasons were hits, and some of these hits have lasted. For example, Business Partners came out in the 1990s, and it's still going strong. It's important because it's now common for general managers to value highly an outstanding HR business partner. And that is a genuine leap from the world before of personnel administration. And it matters because we have a 20+ year pipeline now of commercially savvy HR talent ready for the boardroom. And here's the downer. In the boardroom, HR is like the UK in the Eurovision Song Contest. Don't ask. The answer is nul point. The 100 CEOs who lead the biggest FTSE companies. Over 50 from finance, 13 from marketing. From HR, don't ask, 0. Fewer than 5% of non-executives have HR experience. Not only do we have no seat in the boardroom, often we're left outside in the corridor. In 2019, the boss of the CIPD, the British professional body, raged that 1/4 of chief people officers are still kept out of relevant decisions. Bad, eh? It gets worse. Let's call to the witness stand Professor Gary Hamel. Hamel's a big cheese in management innovation. Now, 10 years ago, the CIPD switched on the bat signal and brought Hamel in to jumpstart HR's bigger, bolder future. He got up close and personal with our best people and our best ideas. And Hamel thinks people matter. His 2020 book is called Humanocracy, creating organizations as amazing as the people in them. Hamel thinks people are amazing, but we're a dead loss. For starters, he says, despite HR budgets tripling from 1997 to 2017, the fraction of executives who think HR is a strategic player in their organization has flatlined at 25%. But Hamel doesn't hide behind survey results. He has seen for himself. Remember? He took our dollar and we showed him our best. We are, and I quote, internal administrators who inflate costs, offer substandard services, or insist on compliance at any cost. Hamel's busy painting a brave new world of amazing people-centered organizations. But for him, HR is like rabbits in Australia, a damn nuisance to be kept down. Still, Hamel is only the world's most influential business thinker, says the Wall Street Journal. No worries there then. Do I even need to mention robots and AI? It's time to wake up and smell the lilies. A funeral is being organized, and it's ours. I think it's time to change the scriptwriters. We need a diagnosis that explains why we've effed up so badly. And we need a credible plan for change. Here goes. 3 things have trapped us. I'm going to offer ways forward on 2. The last will be down to us all. The first trap is a philosophical one. In the West, we've been living up to a flawed, 2-dimensional idea of what it is to be human. Imagine how weak the finance function would be if it hadn't properly grasped what money was. Most of us are brought up to think of humans of ourselves as free-thinking individuals, masters of our own journeys, fillers of our own shopping baskets, the lonely captains of our solitary souls. And yet, for 50 years or more, clues that this might be a mistake have been there, not only inside philosophy, but in research disciplines such as complexity theory, sociology, anthropology, and critical organization studies. Stuff's been there, but hard to understand, and inconvenient for the purpose of keeping us all in our place while making money go round faster. I can't explain a civilizational mistake in 20 minutes, but I can help you make your own mind up in about 5 hours. And I do that in my book called Elites. Can you rise to the top without losing your soul? It may start off like a book about careers, But you'll soon find yourself in a section called Big Questions. What is success? What is being human? What if something very basic in our thinking needs a reboot? The journey to get to elites has taken me 15 years, which produces the fun fact that each of the 5 hours it takes to read or listen to the book, each of the 5 hours, each hour has taken 1,000 days of my life. So it's either a really good or really bad book. Fortunately, Forbes and other reviewers have given it the thumbs up. And the FT not only says it's profound, but it's, they say, often very funny. Now, if I've got the philosophical trap right, here's how HR fell into it. We were late to the management party. We were awed by science, economics, finance, and psychology. And we raised good families with the wages on offer for pretending that humans are resources, predictable and controllable. We styled ourselves as problem solvers, practical people, while financiers won Nobel Prizes creating disaster-prone complex equations. We stayed in the shallow end of the pool, churning out our hits. We didn't become go-to people on power. We didn't inspire followers. We didn't spawn creativity. We even turned ethics into compliance with procedure and rules. We put ourselves in no position to notice a philosophical mistake hitting us in the face. So when it did, we swallowed a simpler explanation for our second-rate offerings, that we were second-rate people. Now, the second trap, and why it's a delight to be doing this as part of Inspiring Workplaces, is that we haven't had an inspiring purpose. People are our most important asset. Is tired, flawed, and more than a century old. It's a declaration, not a mission. And the people it refers to are only employees. Yet we have struggled to do better. Whereas financiers, they came up with shareholder value maximization, unleashing a religious crusade, which is only now being reined back. To avoid the first trap, a properly human mission will have to be paradoxical as well as inspirational. And my book, Elites, provides the foundation for a suggestion that our mission, HR's mission, might be to create workplaces or systems or communities or ecologies of extraordinary achievement in which ordinary lives matter. Let me say that again. Our mission, HR's mission, might be to create workplaces, communities, ecologies, systems of extraordinary achievement in which ordinary lives matter. The final trap is we've lacked belief in ourselves, something financiers haven't. At least since that fateful advertising campaign in 1973, accountancy was my life until I discovered Smirnoff. The effect was shattering. The audacity of shareholder value maximization has indeed been shattering for tens of thousands of organizations and hundreds of millions of jobs. No book can fix a lack of audacity, but no book needs to. Women have taught us. Black people have shown us the example. Disrespected groups of every kind have demonstrated the steps to us. We've been the organizational function directly responsible for diversity. We've had front row seats. No more, one day my prince will come. No more waiting for the meekness of our merit to inherit the earth. We are the future we have been waiting for. It's time to claim it. So, HR, a force for good in the boardroom in my lifetime. Turns out it's only 3 steps away from being a realistic dream. Step 1. We own up to our part of a big mistake. Western civilization has been living in Earth is flat times, stuck in 2-dimensional thinking about what being human is. We can step up as the leaders who reboot that understanding, drawing on insights which have been around but neglected for 50 years. We can nurture and own genuine insight, we should call it wisdom, into what it is to be human. We can proudly own that human nature is paradoxical, political, beautiful, messy, and never controllable in a lasting way. All that glitters isn't gold. To be human is to shine with a much more complex, subtle brilliance than money. Move over, finance. Your time is up. Step 2, we take up a mission. We choose a flag. We march into boardrooms because we have a job to do. We want to reshape business as profoundly, as urgently as the financiers did with shareholder value maximization. And while we look for a better flag, we can start with this one, that the mission of HR is to create workplaces, systems, communities, ecologies of extraordinary achievement in which ordinary lives matter. Those lives that matter are not just those of workers, but of every human life our organization affects. Our turf, our expertise, our mission, HR, the human realm. In the coming decades, our colleagues will include robots and algorithms. That could be a world in which most CEOs are techies or built by techies. But imagine instead a world in which the law says that 2 positions in every organization have to be held not just by humans, but by humans who understand what it is to be human. The CEO and the Chief People Officer. Step 3. We stop waiting for our prince to come. We believe in ourselves. We act boldly. We act now. We act because this work needs to be done, and no one is better placed than us to do it. We act because we are no longer business partners, but future partners, because our destiny does not belong solely to financiers or to workers or to customers, but to us all. And we dare be partners in shaping it. You can act by sharing this talk, share it with colleagues in HR, share it with a new generation, and with bosses who want to build a new world, or reach out to me on Twitter at Boardwriter, that's board, B-O-A-R-D, writer with a Y, W-R-Y-T-E-R. I'll finish as I started, with a dream. To adapt some famous words, maybe I've been allowed up the mountain. Maybe I've looked over. Maybe I've seen a promised land. Martin Luther King paid for those words with his life. I'm hoping that HR is a bit more boring than that, but not too boring to act. What's at stake? The workplaces of our future. I say we can get there together. I say HR can be a force in the boardroom, a force for good in the boardroom in our lifetimes. Thank you for listening so patiently, but I think the time for patience is over. That's me, Matt.
Just myself, because I fell into that trap before. Wow. Very profound on a Monday. I suppose my first question really would be, where does somebody, how do they act in that first instance? If they've been moved by your words and are nodding furiously along with what you've been saying, where does action, what does action look like in the
Well,
first instance?
I think the first step for me is actually to feel good. That may sound a paradoxical thing, but if what I'm saying is right, then we have been caught up in a mistake that's a very big civilization-wide mistake. And actually, the ups. So first of all, we don't need to beat up too much on ourselves. But secondly, imagine if we can fix a really big mistake, then we can live in a really different world. And what I'm trying to say is I've done my best in 15 years. I haven't been able to understand everyone, but inspired partly by friends in Africa and by encounters in India, I've tried to write a very slim book that you can read or listen to in 5 hours that isn't dumbed down and that gives you the key to decide for yourself, not to decide whether to believe me, to decide for yourself whether there might be something in this. So the first thing is you can test this for yourself and enjoy the possibility that if this is not all nonsense, and the FT and the Forbes and Management Today, nice of them to say profound, then we have got more power to change things than we think. So that is where I'd really start.
Okay. And it's reframing everything, I suppose, where human resources, assets, and to actually starting to treat people, as human beings, to show the empathy, the trust, those common
and
human principles that have been there forever, but some have been lost along the way.
And it's HR from human resources to the human realm. So it's not just that. It is absolutely that, but it's not just that. It's all the human lives that a business touches, not just the employees. I think that we all know we're in a race to survive in terms of climate issues. Okay. But there is some language around, at least companies and boards, and if you hold shares in company or if you work in a company, you can ask if they've got a net zero policy. You can at least begin a conversation.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the treating people as humans side, we have really lacked some language. We know when we see an outrage after it's happened. We know when a Grenfell Tower burns down and lots of people die because flammable cladding is fixed to a building. We know afterwards that's an absolute outrage, and many, many other things, the opioid scandal and so on and so forth. But what about beforehand? What's some language like net zero that we can start asking ourselves in our businesses today and saying, are we on the right side of things? And my phrase for that is ordinary lives matter. Are we a business where ordinary lives matter, and those lives are not just, includes the lives of the employees, but not just the employees, but customers, supply chain, or people on the other side of the world that our pollution is affecting. So from human resources to the whole human realm. And we know, Matt, that business is being reinvented right now. We may not reinvent it fast enough. The climate may race ahead of us, or COVID or something, but we know business is being invented right now. And my plea is to, my next call of action to someone who resonates with what I'm saying is, if you're in HR, let's say we're about the human realm, let's just muscle in there and be part of the reinvention and start saying, what are we doing? What am I doing in my job today that supports extraordinary achievement, but challenges whether in our organization ordinary lives matter? Let's not stop worrying about, is it the old HR department's responsibility, or is it marketing, or is it CSR, or is it supply chain, or is it compliance or something?
We're talking more about stakeholder capitalism rather than shareholder. So it's thinking about everybody around the business rather than just profits, shareholders, dividends, executive pay. It's actually, let's focus on everybody.
Yeah. Let's focus on what's human, because we know that we're on the threshold of an age in which, it sounds corny, but in different forms, it's already there. Tech, robots, AI, genetic, God knows what of the future. We know the future's hurtling to us at great speed. But in there, we're going to be a player in there as humans. Let's be the function that actually has real insight into what being human's about. And I think that was one of the fundamental reasons why, if you've ever noticed, Matt, why one of the puzzles of life has been that while the HR function has quite a few brilliant people within it, in general, it's not particularly been respected even for its insight into people. It's been thought of more as systems for pushing people about. And we need to change that completely and realize that actually, collectively our insight into people has been a little bit shit, but not because we're shit. We've actually been part of a mistake that's huge. Well, let's be part of fixing it. Let's be the early movers on moving away from the earth is flat and that humans are linear, controllable human resources.
And I think your book is of the moment. I think there's been that shift in the past 12 months. There's a lot more conversation around this, so I think definitely go check out Douglas's book. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Douglas, before we let you go?
Really appreciated the generosity of your time. I thought Inspiring Workplaces, especially with that piece about HR needing to have an inspiring banner, was a fantastic place to get the chance to put that out there. If anyone does want to contact, you can get the book, you can get it on audio, you can get it on ebook. If you want to contact me, probably easiest is Twitter at BoredWriter, but there's a Y in writer. Cheers. Thank you.
And I think, like I say, such big thinking. And I reckon in 5 years' time we'll look back at this moment and the book you've written and see the impact it's had. And there's always a starting point. And I think so thank you very much for putting the pen to paper and sharing your thoughts today, because we are all on that journey to make this world a better place. And HR, chief people officers, have a function quite often of trying to cure society's ills within the workplace, and that power of then actually driving societal change too. So that's what we're trying to do with people like yourself, showing us the way, getting our brains to think in the right way. I'm very grateful. Have a fantastic day, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as I have.
Thank you, Matt. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Bye, baby. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.